Well, good morning, everybody. You hear the music. You know the music. Time now for our Berkshire Hathaway bi-weekly podcast. Joining us in the studio today, your realty expert, John Brodeen. How are you, man?
Hey, good.
Good. Good. How'd your Christmas go?
It was great, yeah. It was nice to relax for a few days, have some good food, and hang out. Yeah.
Did you practice your social distancing during Christmas?
Well, no, because so me and my wife have already had it, and my dad and sister and her boyfriend have already had it.
Oh, boy.
My wife's parents have not had it, but since we had it,
Yep.
recent enough,
Really no
I'm not
worries.
too worried about it.
Yeah.
So when I got done with it, the people at the Department of Health said that you're pretty much for sure good for 90 days. Don't even bother quarantining if you're exposed for 90 days, they said.
Oh, wow, that's good.
So I'm in the clear for a little bit here.
Yeah. Big plans for New Year's?
No, probably just sit at home with the wife and hang out and watch something on TV.
You know, I can't remember the last New Year's Eve I even stayed up till midnight.
I know.
It's just
It's
kind of,
sad.
I call it amateur night. I'd just as soon stay home myself. Anyway, let's get down to business here, John. Biggest and most common mistakes when you hire an agent to sell your home. I'm sure there's a ton of them out there.
There are a lot that we see. So first off, I should tell people that the difference between a buyer's agent and a seller's agent.
Okay.
Right? So when you're buying a home, that's a buyer's agent. If all you're doing is buying, if you're a first-time home buyer, or you're moving to the area, the agent that's helping you is only helping you buy. If you're selling a home, that's your listing agent that you're hiring. The level of skill required to be a listing agent, and to be a good listing agent, is much higher than the level of skill required to be a buyer's agent. So any listing agent could easily handle being a buyer's agent. Not every buyer's agent can easily handle everything required to be a good listing agent.
Okay, I didn't know. Are there actually two? You have your buyer's agent and your listing agent. Are they two whole different things?
The duties are very different. Oftentimes, if I'm selling somebody's home, if you hire me to sell your home, and usually you will hire me to also help you find a home.
Okay.
And the biggest challenge there is going to be getting the most possible money out of your home. We have so many tools and technology, and almost all agents have access to the same tools and technology to help buyers out, where, that's almost, newer agents might struggle with certain aspects of being a buyer's agent, but overall it's pretty simple and straightforward.
Okay.
The listing side of things, when it comes to marketing and knowing the market and research and, all of that kind of thing, you have to really, really be an expert to be a good listing agent.
Okay, since you are considered a realty expert, I would imagine then you are a buyer's agent and a listing agent.
Yep. And I actually so there's not very many agents in town that handle more listings than they do buyers. I'm one of those agents, and that's come through kind of just refining my process over time. But so I know you had asked common mistakes that people make when they're hiring a listing agent. The first mistake I'd mention is waiting until the last minute to get in touch with your agent. So, regardless of who you're hiring, if you call somebody up and say, hey, need to have my house on the market next week, come over today and we'll get started on it. As much as, I don't mind getting a call like that because, but I really wish that person would have called me, maybe a month earlier, so we can say, hey, are there any repairs that need to be made to this house before? Or even 6 months earlier, where they say, hey, John, we're pretty flexible about when we have to move. When is the best month to put this thing on the market? What repairs need to be made is a big one. We're thinking about making this project or doing this project or doing this project. Which one is going to have a better return when we go to sell? Are we going to get our money back for this, or what should we do? The more I'm able to be a part of those type of decisions, the more money I'm able to get for people when they sell. Not everybody thinks that far in advance, though. But so my biggest advice, regardless of who you hire, is get in touch with them early.
And this is something that you have talked about on this podcast many times.
Yeah.
It's really never too early. You should get a hold of your realty expert, a couple of months
Yes.
before you buy or sell.
I was just meeting with somebody yesterday about projects that they were thinking of doing to their home, and they're not going to be selling for another year or two. But they were, they know me well. They know the way that I do things. And so we sat down and we talked about what projects are going to pay off, which ones aren't, little staging tips, little touch-ups, all that kind of stuff. And they're so on top of the ball, they're going to absolutely crush it when they sell because they're so ahead of the game with that sort of thing.
All right. One of the common mistakes is waiting till the last minute.
Yep.
What other mistakes out there, common ones when you're hiring an agent to sell your home?
Yeah, so another common one would be choosing an inexperienced or part-time agent. So like we said, the task of selling your listing is, you need to be picking a high-level agent who has high-level skills. Typically, an inexperienced agent is not going to have the market knowledge, isn't going to know enough about marketing the home, isn't going to have those relationships amongst the agents. They're going to be lacking a lot of those things, which could cost you a lot of money. Another one is choosing an agent that works mainly in a different market. So if there's an agent who, is primarily a Crookston agent, but she's your sister-in-law or something like that.
Sure. Yeah, you know them or they're a friend. Or
that's not going to be the best pick to sell your Grand Forks home. It's not like you need somebody who works right in your neighborhood, because Grand Forks is a small enough town where there's no agents that specialize in a specific neighborhood, really. The best you can hope for is an agent who does basically all their business in Grand Forks and doesn't do maybe much of the surrounding area if your home's in Grand Forks. And you'd be surprised. A lot of the agents spread out amongst a pretty wide area, but it's hard to be an expert in all of those areas as well as Grand Forks.
I could see maybe your mechanic you go to is your brother-in-law or your cousin or a good friend of yours, but when it comes to buying or selling a house, now that's a whole different level there.
Yes.
I mean, that's one of the biggest decisions financially you're ever going to make in your life.
Yep.
You got to be pretty careful. You got to be pretty careful who you pick for an agent.
Yeah, 100%. The other mistake somebody could make is choosing an agent who's maybe a very good buyer's agent, but hasn't gotten into that level of being a good listing agent. Just because they're a really good buyer's agent and maybe they work with a ton of buyers doesn't mean they're going to be good at the duties of being a listing agent. So that's something else that people get confused about a lot.
So if I'm looking, when I want to sell or whatever, and I called John Brodeen and I said, you're a buyer's agent, but are you a listing agent too? And if you answer yes, how can you prove it? Can people say, well, do you have any numbers? Or do you have any? Can I see your track record or anything like that?
Yeah, so you could ask them, how do you do more listings than buyers? Do you do more listing sales than buyer sales every year? Or even if it's close to 50%, but there's not very many agents that are over 50% listing sides. And if they are over 50% listing sides, that's probably a good sign that's a strong agent. There's tons of numbers you can get into that you want to ask about. So if they say they're a listing agent, you want to make sure they're a good listing agent. So do they have a strong average list to sale price ratio? Do they have a strong original list to sale price ratio? Do they have a low days on market? Their listings don't sit around for a long time. Do they have a lot of failed listings? Like you might have a low average days on market, but you might have a ton of canceled listings in comparison to the number of listings that you sold. Well, that means that person is kind of gaming their numbers by whenever a listing is on the market for 50 days, they cancel it and relist it so they don't get high days on market. But everybody knows that trick, and that does not mean that they're doing a good job. So you want to look at all of those different things. Not very many agents will actually provide you with that stuff. So just asking for it alone will open your eyes.
You're kind of a numbers guy, a stats guy. I would imagine you probably have your own stats. So if somebody does call you with that question, you could say, well, here, let me show you.
Yep, I gladly provide that to everybody just because that's kind of key to having a good relationship. I need them to trust me in order for me to, be able to do what I do. So I provide that to people, even if they say, hey, John, I want you to sell my place. I know you're good. Whatever. I'll still give it to them just so they know, that this is my track record.
Sure.
I'm willing to provide it. I'm not hiding anything. Another common mistake that we see is a seller picking an agent just based on who promises them the most money for their house.
Oh yeah.
In the industry, we call it buying the listing. A seller interviews 5 agents, and 3 of them come in right around 270. One of them comes in at 290, and then another one comes in at 315. And the sellers pick the one who came in at 315 because, that person sees something in our house and they believe in our house, and that it makes them feel good. And this person's going to get 315 for it when the other people were only going to get 270. It's a sign of an inexperienced agent, unless they actually caught something in the market data that the other agents missed, which is really unlikely. What that agent's likely doing is promising a high number to try to win over the seller.
Yep.
And saying that in order to get the listing, but likely isn't going to actually be able to deliver on it, and will actually do more harm than good by putting it on the market at that price.
Yeah, because the house could be on the market for longer, and probably that guy, their agent's going to say, you know what, we need to drop this a little bit.
Yeah.
And then the homeowner is going to say, well, you're the one that told me you could get $315 for this house, and now all of a sudden, I had these other agents that said, nah, $275, and now you want me to drop my price.
Yeah.
Well, that definitely is not going to help the realtor.
No. And then what happens is, they say, well, maybe we just need to price reduce a little bit. Maybe we just need to price reduce a little bit. Maybe by the time you've been on the market for a year, you're finally listed at 270. Maybe even a little, maybe even 265, but you've been on the market for a year. So everybody's passing over your house and nobody's realizing that it's actually a good deal now just because it's been on the market for so long.
Right.
And then you don't have very many buyers that are looking at your house. So when you finally do get a buyer to offer, they're probably not going to offer very strong. You have no negotiating leverage. So that's a bad spot to be in. So don't just pick the agent based on who promises you the most amount of money. And then also don't pick the agent based on who is willing to drop their commission the most. This is, there aren't too many of them, but there are agents out there who maybe they're not very confident in their skills, or maybe they're not very busy, or maybe they're, just not very experienced yet or something. So they feel like in order to get any business, they need to really cut their fees down. Now, something to keep in mind, if an agent, so when you look at a whole commission, if you look at like, say, a 6% commission, typically, a lot of times 3% gets paid out to the buyer agent, 3% gets paid out to the listing agent. So if somebody offers you a super low commission, and without going into numbers, chances are they're wanting to pay the buyer's agent much less too. So if your listing is at it's a $225,000 listing, and all the other listings in your price range are offering a 3% buyer agent commission, and now that this agent wants you to only offer a 2% buyer agent commission, is that really a good idea for marketing your home to de-incentivize other agents to sell it? Because they know if they sell yours instead of one of the other ones, they're going to make much, much less on it than what they typically make when they sell a home. That's not a good marketing strategy. You have to treat the agents well. Paying a strong buyer agent commission or a fair buyer agent commission is part of treating the agents well. And if you become an agent that's known for that, there's like a bad brand around your listings to begin with.
Now, I know you as a realty expert, and I know other people from Berkshire Hathaway, you have to actually spend money to make money. So if you're dropping your commission, the odds are you're probably not doing all the extra legwork and all the behind the scenes things that people don't know about that you all do at Berkshire Hathaway.
Yeah, 100%. If an agent, like there's even, discount brokers out there who aren't even within the state, that, they might be in California or something like that, and they're licensed in multiple states, but they basically all they offer is to put the home on the MLS and nothing else. It's basically a for sale by owner. When agents see that, they run for the hills. The marketing is not there to be reaching buyers outside of reaching them through the agents. And so it really doesn't have the desired effect versus listing with a really strong, good buyers or listing agent, excuse me. And, you pay the full commission and you get that return on your bottom line because you sell for more money.
Okay.
And there's a reason the top agents are the top agents.
So any other common mistakes when you hire an agent to sell your home?
Something that we hate to see, and you don't see it that much anymore, is when somebody hires an agent who doesn't get professional photography taken.
Oh, yeah.
You can tell instantly when it's not professional photography. And we're not talking about, commercial is different, multifamily is different. When you're talking about residential move-in ready property, if you don't get professional photography taken, at the very least, you're just, it's a relatively small amount of money that the agent has to spend up front to get that done. If the agent won't even do that, it's a horrible sign about that agent. It probably means their online marketing presence really sucks. You have to have a great online marketing presence. Part of that is good photography. Mm-hmm. So if an agent doesn't do that, run for the hills. You don't want anything to do with them.
So I'm guessing my Apple iPhone 6 wouldn't be the really the proper equipment to use for taking pictures.
No. These
takes good hunting and fishing pictures, but
yeah. The thing is, these cameras and the equipment that these photographers use are thousands and thousands of dollars for a reason. They know how to get the lighting perfect. They know how to get the angles perfect. They know the exact lens aperture to use to make sure that you get the entire room in a shot. At the very, this is at the most basic level, the thing that you'll notice the difference between professional photos and cell phone photos. If I take for the people who are just listening on audio, I apologize, but if I take a picture of this room with a cell phone photo, I might get from the edge of the table maybe to the computer over there.
Yeah.
Versus if I use a wide angle aperture lens, like a professional is going to use, you're going to see from the edge of the table all the way to the edge of that screen. You're going to see the entire room. You're not going to see that with a cell phone photo where all you see is this much. That's super important when you obviously want to see the entire room.
So photographers are part of the Berkshire Hathaway team also?
Yes. Yep.
And how many other realty companies do that?
Pretty much all the other top ones.
If you want to be good, yep.
There are maybe certain agents. The top agents at the top companies almost always do it.
Okay.
But you might find some agents that are still stuck on doing cell phone photos at certain places. So maybe it's less about the company and more about the agent. But just don't hire an agent who does cell phone photos. That's not gonna be good for you.
All right, running through them quickly again. Biggest and most common mistakes when hiring an agent to sell your home. First one you said was don't wait till the last minute.
Yep.
And after that?
So choosing an inexperienced or part-time agent, choosing an agent that mainly works in a different market, choosing a buyer's agent to be your listing agent, and choosing the agent who offers you the highest listing price for your property, aka buying the listing, choosing an agent who drops their commission the most. Again, on that, they're supposed to negotiate for you, and if they can't even negotiate for themselves.
Yeah.
What's that say about their negotiating skills when there's an offer on the table? And then choosing an agent who doesn't have great online marketing or, at the very least, professional listing photos.
Are there a lot of houses listed now for sale in Grand Forks in the area?
Very low inventory.
Okay.
Very low inventory.
So looking into 2021,
yes.
What do you think the market's going to be like?
I'm guessing the spring market is going to be very hot because it's low inventory and high activity even during these winter months, which are supposed to be the slowest months of the year. Mm-hmm. So if that's any indication, I think going into like March, April, and May, I think are going to be really, really busy.
I do have somebody that texted a question.
Yeah.
Casey. He said, ask him about his jiu-jitsu skills. He's a stud.
I don't know which Casey it is, but...
I can tell you, but...
Oh, okay. What's up, Casey? Yeah, no, I that's my main hobby outside of this. That's my...
You ever spar with him?
Obsession. No, I haven't. But I think he's an MMA fighter.
Yep.
He was a little bit, he was at my same gym before I was there.
Oh, okay.
So the guys who I train with know who he is, and they said he's a tough dude. Don't want to mess with him.
How does a person get a hold of John Brodeen, realty expert at Berkshire Hathaway?
701-213-5428. That's my cell phone.
All right. And you taking a little bit of time off for New Year's or New Year's Day or any of that kind of stuff? Or I suppose you guys are on call all the time, aren't you?
Kind of on call all the time. I'll be on the laptop and on the cell phone, but hopefully not too much.
Hopefully don't have to leave the house, huh?
Yeah. We'll see.
All right. Are you coming back Friday?
Yes. Yep. I'll be back on Friday.
So you're going to make me work on New Year's Day?
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
That's okay. We'll do it. Just for you, John.
Yeah.
All right. There you go. Berkshire Hathaway bi-weekly podcast with your realty expert, John Brodeen. Again, if you want to get a hold of John, 701-213-5428. And make sure you share this too. Biggest and most common mistakes when hiring an agent to sell your home, because you know what? You might be there someday. And that's when you get a hold of John Brodeen, Berkshire Hathaway. We'll be back again with John on Friday morning. Till then, have yourself a great day.